I will note one typo. Item 11A says holiday calendar. However, it is our meeting calendar that we'll be looking at today. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Please join us for a moment of silence, and Councilmember Moreau, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do we have anyone signed up for public comment? Nope. Anyone who is not signed up but still wants to make public comment? All right. We have two public hearings. Our first public hearing is regarding the NOVEC easement on public property. I declare the public hearing open. Welcome, Calvin.
Good evening, Mayor Mensing, Vice Mayor Moore, members of council, residents, staff, and guests. I'm Calvin Odell, the Director of Community Development for the City of Manassas Park. The very first order of business public hearing tonight is regarding a easement for NOVEC along Parcel A2. This was a parcel that exists as a city park over off of Kent Drive. There was already a Columbia Gas facility there utilizing a solar panel to provide cathode protection to its metallic pipes in the area. Unfortunately, Columbia noticed that the system wasn't working appropriately, so they are switching from the solar system to a hardwired system. NOVEC is willing to place a service for this purpose, but it has to be placed on city property in an appropriate easement, so NOVEC is asking that the city grant this easement to them for a public utility purpose. Any questions?
Any questions? We'll start with Councilmember Simon.
No, thank you.
No question.
No questions.
All right. Would anyone like to make public comment on the public hearing? No? All right, we will close the public hearing, and will this be voted on next week? Yes? Okay. Motion to close the public hearing.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Public hearing has been closed at 7:03. All right, next one is regarding a code text amendment to the water and sewer ordinance. I declare the public hearing open.
Okay. Chapter 25 of the City Code is the chapter that regards water and sewer. It covers all things water and sewer, including billing and service charges. There was a lot of housekeeping. The ordinance was very dated. The very first thing we wanted to recommend was some changes to the as-built survey process. So when a development or a new site plan is executed, the developer is responsible for submitting as-built site plans to us, and that verifies that the inverts and elevations of the pipes that were put into place are in accordance with the plan, so that the sewer flows the way it's supposed to, storm sewer flows the way it's supposed to. We didn't have a lot of really clear requirements there, so what this does is takes some recommended language from some of our partners in the area and puts it into the code so that even if we get into a dispute over what the PFM says, it's clear in our water and sewer chapter what you need to provide, just because we are a public utility that will be taking over the things that you installed. We also had a tremendous amount of septic system language in the code. The last known septic system in the city of Manassas Park went out with the Palisades development. We do not have any septic systems in the city, and the code requires that if you're within 300 feet of public sewer that you connect to public sewer. So we do not have an agreement with the Department of Health in Prince William County to manage septic. So if someone did come in and met the exception and wanted to develop a septic system, we would have to first get into an agreement with the health department to inspect and monitor such septic systems. So there would be a lot of work to do. So staff's recommendation was that we just remove language, making it seem permissive, and just that we make our goal to not have any septic systems in the city of Manassas Park. We also wanted to update and improve a lot of the very antiquated unlawful use language. The language still had things like stopcocks, very antiquated language that hasn't been used for decades in the industry, And it didn't really reflect the fact that we have so many facilities, not only the city of Manassas Park, but also Upper Occoquan Sewage Authority or Service Authority, and also the city of Manassas, Prince William County may have things in our city because of our cooperative water, our water capacity agreements. So what we wanted to make sure was that any kind of tampering, any kind of trespassing on those properties was covered in our ordinance, so that we're protecting all of the facilities the way they would be termed today, and that we're protecting all of our partners' facilities as well. We also wanted to remove any dollar amounts in the code. It's odd to have codified dollar amounts because we do an annual fee and tax schedule that's voted on by the governing body every fiscal year. So to have codified amounts just means that there's going to be an extra administrative and legislative step every year to change all of those amounts. So this simply goes through the code and references the fee schedule anywhere there was a dollar amount for rates and charges. In that also, there was the treasurer recognized an inequity between commercial and residential with the minimum fee charge. When we charge for master metered residential, we charge the base fee charge per unit. But however, when we have a master metered business, we don't charge per business entity or per unit, even though they're operating as separate entities. So the treasurer recommended this fix, and I put it in there because I do think it represents fixing of an inequity in the code. The next was to actually codify a meter reading dispute process. So our code didn't currently cover what happens when you disagree with your reading. So codifying a process puts in place an actual codified policy where people have to cooperate with a meter test to see if they have a leak somewhere on their premises. Then they can request that the meter be tested, and then it talks about how we recover charges if the meter was found to be within industry standards, and it also references an industry standard for us to follow. So that's the extent of the changes. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Great. Questions? We'll start this way.
No. Nothing from my side.
Yeah, nothing at this time.
I do. I have a couple questions. So some of it talks about during normal business hours and holidays. So with the additional holidays that we have approved, if your water gets cut off, there's only 2 days at the end of December within a 2-week period that you can have your water reconnected. So if your water gets cut off during Christmas time, you got 2 days. I think it's only 2 days within 2 weeks, or maybe it's 2 days in 1 week and then 2 days in another. So it really kind of limits our citizens, and they could go without water potentially, right? Because those are business hours. Because the holidays, we have a lot more holidays that we approved a couple weeks ago.
And this was within the changes to the billing dispute process?
It just talks about it can only be reconnected within normal business hours or 7:30 to 3:30 p.m. on non-holidays. And then also, the other question I had was about, I can't find the page that it was on, but I was reading in here about tampering of the unit. So I know, I guess has it been a problem? Because a lot of citizens complain about water. So for example, I do have a neighbor was charged $400 for 2 weeks of usage. They were gone for 2 weeks of vacation. And it would be fair to say that they could have opened up the lid to look at the meter if there was something wrong with it or leaking. It's just a lid that lifts up. Then now they're going to get charged a fee if they open that lid to even take a look. And then because you're not going to necessarily get a response, there's no response times in here as far as when the department should respond within so many hours. It says that they have to ask in writing to have somebody come out, but what's the response? I think, do we have we should respond within 24 hours, or what is our response time for that too? So I'm just kind of want to make sure that we're telling the citizens that we're going to handle it. Don't touch anything. We've got it. But what's our response time as well?
Again, we're talking about a meter dispute situation. And under a normal circumstance, if someone fears that they have a leak and they ask us to come cut off the water, it's always, you can dial police non-emergency. They will get in touch with our on-call, and our on-call will have to respond and shut the water off immediately. The real concern that we have here, it was actually this meter installation project that kind of renewed our concerns, is that people do go out, they open up their meter, and tampering's tampering. I'm not going to talk about, what they're trying to do when they're tampering with the meter, but when they don't put the lid back on and then someone steps into the meter crock and hurts themselves, we as a city are liable for that. So if we're going to be responsible and be held liable for ensuring that that meter lid is always secured, then we can't have people opening that meter lid and then not putting it back securely. So really, with the implementation of the smart meters and the ability to monitor your account and what the meter is saying, the reason to access the meter is sort of taken away. You can electronically access what your meter is saying. You don't no longer have to read a dial face to see what your meter output is. So the reason for going in the meter would simply be to disconnect your water service, which we will do as a after-hours emergency situation anytime. You just call police non-emergency, and they'll call one of my on-call crew to come shut the water off.
What about reconnecting it?
Reconnecting?
Can you call the police, will they reconnect it as well?
I mean, if we have an issue where someone has not been, is this part of a meter dispute?
Well, if it's disconnected and they need to reconnect it, it's Christmas time, it's a holiday, how do we handle that?
So we just take work orders for reconnections for shutoffs. If we are part of the meter dispute process, you would have a new meter the same time we removed your old meter. You would never be disconnected. We would have to disconnect you temporarily while we exchange the meters, but the meter dispute process says that if you want your meter to be replaced and tested, then we come out, we will bring a brand new meter with us, we will immediately put the brand new meter in, we will send your old meter off to testing.
There is a section that
Yeah,
you're talking about
dispute.
that says the after-hours utility connection fee is stipulated in the schedule, so there is an after-hour service, but there is a fee for it.
Okay. Like I said, my biggest concern is the reconnection and the,
But I think it gives you on that section, I think it's page 20 out of 321. It's section 25-25.
yeah, I think that was on page 20, that's what I was referring to, Monday through Friday, except holidays observed by the city.
Right, but the second bullet says that they will come out, but there will be a fee.
For $90, so they removed the $90.
Yeah, because we have
What's the
that.
current fee? Do you know the current fee?
So
To
I
reconnect
think it's
it?
going to remain $90. That would be up to the billing office to recommend a change in that fee. The change was simply to have everything in line with the adopted fee schedule instead of being codified references to rates. I think that for this year, unless the treasurer has recommended some sort of modification, it's not included in the rates and charges that the increase that you requested, that would the increase that you would vote on the 24th. The increase that you would vote on the 24th would just apply to the service charges related to consumption and the base fee.
My biggest concern, and again, it's when I read this, and I can't, for some reason, I'm just not finding it right now, but was when I understand the tampering and I understand the removal, someone trips in and they don't put it back, so I get it. But I also get that we have a slew of issues with the water and people getting overcharged or not charged the right amount. It's something that we've been hearing for years, and it hasn't stopped. It's not something that necessarily has been addressed. And so folks do go look. Yeah, maybe after this is adopted, that we can really push what the process is and get people to start calling. Not necessarily in writing, but maybe call and start getting folks to come out and start looking. So, and yeah. Okay, that's all I have.
All right, any other comments or questions? Okay, this will also be, any comments, any public comments? Nope. This will also be voted on next week. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion here, public hearing closes at 7:15.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
are both of those items suitable for consent next week, or do you want to have them presented again?
Are we okay with these going into consent agenda? Yep, yep,
Yes.
yep.
Yeah.
Great, yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Calvin. All right, tonight is bittersweet as we say goodbye and thank you to someone who has been more than just a colleague. He has been a cornerstone of this city for over 2 decades. We are here to celebrate and honor Dean Crowhurst, our city attorney. Dean, your dedication over the past 20-plus years has left a lasting mark on this city. You've seen our community through change, through growth, through challenge. And through all of it, you've remained a constant source of wisdom, calm, and care. You've worked with countless people over the years, council members, department heads, staff, and residents alike, and each one of us has benefited from your guidance, your deep knowledge, your generosity of spirit. Whether it was a legal question, a historical fact, or just a friendly conversation, you were always there ready to help. You weren't just the city attorney. You were a collaborator, a leader, and a listener. You worked quietly behind the scenes to make so many projects possible, projects that have shaped our city and improved the lives of people who lived here. And you did it all with integrity, intelligence, and a true love for this place. Dean, your contributions are way too many to count, but your legacy is clear. You have helped build a city that we are all proud to call home. And while we will miss your hard work and your expertise, what we will miss most of all is your presence. When you return to Texas, please take with you our deepest gratitude and our very best wishes. You will always have a place in the heart of our city. We have a plaque for you, if you'll come up. You guys want to stand up or come down?
Yes. Come on down, come on down.
That's a lie.
Come on down, yes.
Yes, you won't.
Don't move. I want to take a picture of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to say a few words? Or just do it? Yeah.
I can do it here or I can do it over there.
Just pick a mic.
Well, it is bittersweet for me as well. I see a lot of friendly faces still in the crowd. We had a little get-together earlier with a lot of food, and the people that ate have gone, but the others have stuck around, so thank you for everyone sticking around. I have watched this city grow, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of it. As I said earlier, it was kind of a little mix of Mayberry and large metropolitan area. Had a very endearing quality that people, not just me, but people who work here really want the city to do well. And a lot of times they'll make the extra effort, and it's been a pleasure working with those people. I've made a lot of really good friends. I've worked with some very, very talented and dedicated members of the governing body, including those here today. And I do appreciate the opportunity I've had. Very kind words have been said about me, and it is very humbling to hear them. But I do wish the city well, and I do want to watch from afar. I'm in Texas now, but I do keep in touch with folks here in Manassas Park, and I also keep an eye on the city from afar, hoping that everything prospers the way that everyone wants it to. So again, thank you very much for everything. It's been a pleasure, and I'm sorry to leave, but not entirely sorry, because I get to go hang out with my granddaughters now. So thank you again.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to say a few words? We'll start this way.
Dean, I just wanted to say thank you for making my welcome smooth and my transition and onboarding smooth and answering all of my questions. So thank you.
Same as me, the first term. Thank you for the advice you gave me. It helped a lot because I was new at this. So the fact that you sat down with me and you explained the way things worked, and the best advice you could ever give me was, if you don't have anything to say, don't say anything at all, because everything goes on record. So thank you.
Thank you, Dean, for your dedication to our city. You're definitely one of the hardest working city attorneys I've worked with throughout my political career. We cannot doubt the fact that almost every progressive thing that's happened in our city in the last few years, your fingerprint is on it, and so I appreciate that very much. this city hall, our bowling alley, and just everything. And so we greatly appreciate your hard work and effort towards our city, and wish you the very best in all your future endeavors there in Houston. So thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
Dean, it was great working with you on the EDA and now on the council. I've always appreciated your advice that you've given to me personally. And then as a body, that great voice in the sky kind of directing us to the right path. So I appreciate that. Thank you, and good luck in your retirement.
Thank you.
So finally, no more red markings, no more following Robert's rules. Retirement, you follow your own rules, right? So good luck with that, and enjoy your retirement. It's been a pleasure these last 6 years. As Councilmember Moore said, you were one of the hardest working city attorneys. I mean, detailed emails and just collaborating and making sure that we understood what was right and what was wrong. I appreciate that, so good luck.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Next up is the very exciting consent agenda. The consent agenda includes the approval of the minutes from June 3rd, 2025, that the governing body approve and adopt an ordinance incorporating Title 46.2 of the Code of Virginia as amended and reenacted, except those provisions and requirements for which the violation constitutes a felony, and which by their very nature can have no application to or within the city, into Section 24-3 and incorporating Article 2, Section 18.2, of Chapter 7 of Title 18.2 of the Code of Virginia as amended and reenacted into Section 24-35. That the governing body approve and adopt a resolution for the city to adopt a Vision Zero action plan to achieve zero traffic fatalities and serious injuries by 2035, as presented and subject to final city attorney review. That the governing body approve and adopt a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Fiscal Year 2025 Safe Streets and Roads for All program for federal grant funding from the United States Department of Transportation, as presented and subject to final city attorney review. And that the governing body appoint the following individuals to the named boards for the stated terms. Yesy Amaya to serve on the Community Criminal Justice Board for the 31st Judicial District for a term coextensive with her term as City Council member. Neetu Chandra to the City's Board of Zoning Appeals for the vacant term that will expire on March 31, 2026. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Proposed meeting calendar for FY26.
So you're required by law to pass your meeting calendar every July. You, of course, have the power to change your meetings and have special meetings and do all these things. But in order to remain consistent with the statute, you do have to pass this. So this is the calendar that we're proposing for your meeting schedule for fiscal year 26. It'll be on the agenda on July 15th, I believe. So it's just for your to look it over, and if there's anything you want to have changed, you have until then to let us know.
Comments? Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say comments,
Okay.
questions.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Mrs. City Manager. And maybe, Dean, I know you can help me with this. We just recently did a charter change. And I thought it reflected the number of months that the council was going to meet moving forward with the charter adjustment.
Right, we did, it did change it. It used to say that you had to meet once a month. The new charter says that you have to meet once a month for at least 11 months. So you can choose 1 month where you will not have a meeting.
And I would like us to do that. And I'm looking at December. I mean, we have 2 meetings scheduled. There are other months on here. August is oftentimes a good time that families take vacations and go out of town, and very little is done during the month of August. I would put either of those months up for consideration, but that is our charter now, 10 months, and I think we should be consistent with that.
Well, the charter takes effect July 1st, but this will be voted on after July 1st.
Exactly,
So
for them to think about
Yes.
and consider.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Start with Yesy.
I'm okay as is. I'm not in favor of 11-month council. I'm good with meeting once a month, just so because things do come up and we don't want to bombard other meetings. My only question was the green highlight, the green colored dates. What are those on the calendar?
green.
Budget meetings.
Oh,
There's
budget
no money.
meetings.
Budget, oh, okay.
Green is money, okay.
It's
Okay,
budget,
I see.
right?
Yeah, it is.
There should have been a code.
All right, so I'll keep track. Steve is 12, Daryl's 11. Kevin, comments, questions?
No, I'm indifferent if it's 11 or 12.
Indifferent is Kevin. Okay. I am for 12, just because one time we had a month off and the next meeting went way into the wee hours.
Either, that's Kevin. But I also wanted to see if we could change the 6th to like the 20th versus keeping it so close to the holidays of like the New Year, if it's possible.
Which month?
The January one, the 6th, change it to the 20th. So it won't be so close to the holidays.
I think the 19th is a holiday,
It
The
is.
20th?
so the 20th would be the day after a holiday.
Oh, okay, all right, that's fine. We're stuck either way.
Yeah, right.
Got it.
Councilmember Cyberling?
I'm fine with the 13th moving to the 20th. I mean, we have this, we're doing the same thing in February. We're doing meeting the 17th right after our holiday.
Okay.
So, I mean, if we want to split it up, I'm fine with that as well. I'm also fine with 11 or 12 months.
Yeah.
If folks aren't concerned about doing 10 months,
I think it's 11.
or 11 months, I'm sorry, 11, that's what I meant, 11 months.
7
I'm
months.
pushing it even more. Could we at least consider removing December 16th meeting?
Yeah,
We're going to
Yeah.
meet on the 2nd,
I agree.
and if you're traveling for families and things, maybe we can get rid of the 16th.
Okay, I agree.
Get rid of the 16th
And keep the August.
I think that's,
and keep the August.
do we have
only one
the,
meeting in August, that's fine.
I think we have a budget, don't we have anything on the 16th for budget-related stuff?
This
December 16th? It's
December.
December.
Yeah, we present the amended budget, the first meeting. and
Yeah,
you
the
guys
6 months,
will
after 6 months, we have the
approve.
amended budget going on in
Yeah,
December.
we have the meeting, though, we have the 6th, I mean, the 2nd.
Oh, second, you're saying. So it's just
Second.
keeping one, you're saying?
That's correct.
So Tony, what implication would that have for the budget amendment then?
That means your amended budget would not be approved until January, which means your third quarter appropriation would be based on the original adopted budget.
Yeah, anything that's going to impact the financial budget, I'm not in favor for.
Yeah.
So
So,
make it green.
I'm sorry?
Can you
Should we
make
make
it
it
It's not a
green?
budget talk.
Well, yeah, it's not a budget meeting. Well, we could leave it as is, and if you're out of town, you're out of town.
Or get rid of the 2nd.
Of December?
Mm-hmm.
Does that have a budget implication?
We usually present the amended budget,
Yeah,
And then we vote on the 16th.
yeah.
and then we vote in the next meeting.
So you got to do the vote before doing
I'm gonna go out and say leave as is, and then if you're not here in August, we'll just put a little
December, yeah.
doll in your seat.
Right.
All right. Okay, this will be voted on in July. Any other suggestions or questions we can email between now and then?
Okay.
Did we settle on anything tonight, or
We're
just
gonna leave it as
as
is.
is? Okay, great. Okay, yeah, if you have any suggestions, let us know. We have a couple weeks to suss it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It always seems like we have these ideas, and then when you
Right.
try to logistically plan it, it's just a mess. All right, thank you. Where are we? Computer-aided dispatch system. Bless you. Welcome, Chief Lugo.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the governing body. Back in FY '23, the governing body approved the police department to purchase a new CAD system. We were notified last year, around July, that they no longer will be offering the CAD system. So we had to go back to the drawing board, and we decided to use a company that we currently use in other divisions, like in our HR, Treasurer's Office, and the police department, which is Tyler Technologies. We received a quote recently. The reason we're bringing this up now and not after July 1st, there might be an increase after July, so we try and get on the books with them. So the way we, in the documentation is broken down, there's no financial impact in FY '26, so there shouldn't be any adjustments to the current budget. There will be an adjustment for the years out now. So we're going to try to use the funds that were allotted before for the CAD system. But now we've gotten to the point that it's over 20 years old and is not compatible with all our new technology and software up there. So we're running into some issues.
All right, thank you. Comments, questions? Councilmember Cywilling?
No.
No question.
Chief, appreciate that. Who is Sourcewell Production? Because I assume we didn't go out to bid on this, and so we're trying to attach another RFP.
We did Sourcewell procurement. There's a contract that Manassas City was on, and that's what we used through Sourcewell.
So it's Manassas City that
Yeah, they're on that. Yes.
Well, if I could just chime in, Sourcewell is a collective, and they go out and they solicit for a group of localities that are allowed to write it. So if your state allows you to do it, you do it. And so I believe there's a requirement for Sourcewell to be a member. You have to pay a little fee, but they go out and they do all the heavy lifting for you. And so because they have such a wide reach, they get a pretty good price. So we've done that. There's a couple of other ones. There's another Houston, Galveston area governments. I think that's another one. But we have a couple of those that we do, and Sourcewell is one of them. So we've done that with numerous other contracts as well.
So it's a cooperative contract?
It's cooperative, yeah, they do cooperative procurement, and it's up to the locality's attorney to decide whether or not they've met the requirements for that state's cooperative procurement, and Sourcewell does.
And Manassas Park is listed as one of the 8 localities that is on that.
And not doing an RFP is a timing issue or a budget issue?
No, well, we started looking at the systems, and we did get a couple quotes just to put our feelers out there to see if this is even doable. Some of them were a lot more, over $1 million. Some were extremely higher than this. But we started looking at our current system we use now and what's compatible. And being that the city already has contracts with this company, we felt this was probably the best way to go for the money. And we did get some discounts because of that they allow us to use.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So there's no funding needed for FY '26, but we will need the 15,000 for '27 and the 47,000 for '28?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Councilmember Morale?
No questions. Hey, thank you, Chief. Yeah, I remember this conversation 2 years ago. It's crazy how they don't provide a service anymore.
Right.
The question was, I think this was grant funded 2 years ago? So it was not?
No, it's not, sir.
So it was going to come out of the city?
Yes.
I see.
We've
Okay.
had the funds. We've just been carrying it over
I see.
and waiting
So
for
carry it over
implementation.
until you get to it.
Yes.
Okay, that was my only question.
Okay. Staff recommendation is that the governing body approve and authorize the city manager to sign any necessary contractual documents to purchase the Tyler Technologies CAD system as presented and subject to final city attorney review.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Resolution authorization escrow account, $1.2 million, Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund.
I can take that one.
Oh, okay, great.
So, that is me. I prepared this resolution to, the bonds that were used to finance the city hall and all the area improvements also allow, the resolutions for that also allow the city to use the money for any projects in capital improvement program. The building that was purchased on Digital Drive was in the capital improvement program at the time it was purchased. It qualifies for funding through the bond proceeds. There was a concern, and I'll just express it here for the record, there was a concern that since we have existing businesses in there, that we might somehow exceed the 5% mandate from the IRS for our bonds because they're not taxable. And then we also have potential downstairs, for a couple of taxable entities as well. However, the good news is the taxable entities down below are paying less than what it costs the city right now. So right now, there's absolutely nothing associated with them, and it's based upon a timeline. So if we have 35-year bonds, if you have 5 years where the taxable entity was not in business, that counts for us as a public use. The same thing over here at the Digital Drive building, since the purpose of that is in the next few years to convert all or a substantial portion of that into city business or city facilities, and $1.2 million is only 1/5 of what the purchase price was. As long as the city maintains ownership and use for public purposes of at least 20%, then it's still going to meet the requirement for the bonds. So, and I talked to bond counsel about this to make sure this is the case, and so they're very comfortable with this. So this would allow the city to reimburse itself for the cost, for a portion of the purchase price of that building with the bond proceeds. So I don't know if I complicated that or if that's clear or not.
All right,
This resolution would allow you to do it.
okay. Comments and questions, we'll start down here.
No question.
Okay.
No questions.
Yeah, no questions.
Not yet, yeah.
So can you say the last part again?
Which,
This would allow us to reimburse ourselves from the bond?
it would, so the city purchased the building
Right.
with whatever funds, I believe the water and sewer fund was used for that purpose. This would reimburse the water and sewer fund by $1.2 million from the bond proceeds that are just sitting in escrow right now.
Okay, so it's gonna go to our enterprise funds. So,
Right.
which might help that little problem that we're having with our enterprise funds being short. And
I
then-
believe that was the reason for doing this.
So are we gonna have to pay back any of that money?
Well, the $1.2 million gets paid back as part of the very
Bond.
complex process by which the city leased the land to the EDA, and the EDA leased the facility back to the city, and then we pay the rent basically to the EDA, and the EDA pays the bonds. So yes, the city's going to keep paying that rent towards that, and the EDA will keep paying. So yes, the general fund will pay for it over the next
So we're gonna-
33 years.
We're gonna get the 1.2 to go to the enterprise funds, but it's gonna actually, we're gonna be paying that rent, the 1.2 million is included in that through the general fund.
Yes.
So it's still coming from the general fund.
But
Going
it's
back-
basically a $1.2 million loan to cover that.
Yeah. So we're loaning ourselves money to go to the enterprise fund from the general fund. So more money goes from the general fund to the enterprise.
Yes, and you can subsidize the enterprise fund with the general fund, you just can't do it
We're
the
already
other way
doing that.
around.
We already talked about that because we're gonna try to stop doing that. I thought that was the whole point of increasing the water. What was everyone wanted to do. Okay, thank you.
Wow.
All right, the motion is that the governing body approve and adopt a resolution to authorize the use of a portion of the remaining proceeds of the lease revenue bonds issued by the Economic Development Authority to offset the cost of purchasing the Digital Drive building as presented and subject to final city attorney review. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Abstain.
Abstained.
2 abstentions.
Who abstained? Stacy, okay.
And Yesy as well.
Yes, you.
Oh, yes, you, Stacy, okay.
All right, motion carries. We have arrived at our second public comment time. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment? Nope. All right, city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just a reminder that the city facilities will be closed on Thursday, June 19th, to celebrate the Juneteenth holiday. Along with that, on Saturday, we will have our annual Juneteenth celebration. If you remember, in February, the library was going to have their Black Excellence Expo, but it was canceled because of snow and ice and inclement weather. So these two events will be combined this coming Saturday. Starting at 10 a.m. at the Naylor Cemetery up by the community center will be a wreath laying, and then the expo and the Juneteenth celebration will take place here at City Hall and in the plaza from 11 to 4. That's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Anyone have any questions? Nope. All right, closed meeting. Dean, could you read us into closed meeting?
Yes, I recommend the governing body go into closed meeting to consult with legal counsel retained by the governing body to discuss a specific legal matter requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel pursuant to paragraph 8 of subsection 2.2-3711A of the Code of Virginia.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. We are in closed session. We will convene in the back room at 7:44.